Okay, it's 7 o'clock.
Yep.
All right, let's get this meeting going.
Thanks, everybody, for showing up. This is our first meeting in person in 2 years. And also my first meeting in person since I became president. I'm Bill, I'll report you back. And hopefully you guys on the Zoom meeting can hear us. We spent about 20 minutes messing with it. And hopefully it will work. But Virgil's far better at this than I am. So while we've got that page up, let's each of us officers stand up and introduce ourselves, and then we'll go around the room and everybody else can introduce themselves.
You're elected. Well, since Virgil's like doing technical stuff,
How do
I'm
I?
John, I'm 7NW, I'm one of the directors at large.
I'm Eric Schechter, secretary, I guess this time, formally.
And Mike, in charge of the role.
Okay.
Larry W7R, ex-president.
I'm Virgil K7 VZ, Vice President.
So the rest of the room, introduce yourself and what have you been up to ham radio wise for these couple of years?
Can't hear.
Is that acoustics in the room?
Too
or-
much attenuation.
Okay. Well, why don't you start there, and maybe when you get thing.
Eric Casey says, yes, been real active in FTA for the last 6 months. Learning my house.
Ned, AA7A, I've been busy building remote sites and now building a remote site on my property. I'm putting my entire shack out in a air conditioned heated shed in the backyard, all radios and fans, stuff, be out there, I'll sit in the house in the air conditioning. Our laptop and operate my station from there. So that's a big project I got going on right now. Our remote site in Stafford is just kicking butt. We just installed 8 element 6 meter beam on the big tower and a piece of coax that you can't believe, LDF6, that's taking a quarter heliax right from that beam all the way to the shed, or about 270 feet. So it's a big station. It should be a lot of fun this year for a lot easier on 6 meters. That's what I'm doing.
Lee, KY7M. I've been busy editing the national contest journal for CLRL since the start of 2021. And more recently, editor-in-chief of the CADXA Foundation newsletter in my spare time. And that's my retirement. I'm working at DXCC and doing a lot of contesting and taking a bunch of road trips to Stafford with fixing things up, fixing beverage engines and taping is my specialty. The engineers type.
Jim, Casey, LDD, currently working on finishing up 10 meters for what will essentially that's what DXCC. And just rebuilding my station as I go along. Smaller motors, changing antennas in about $30 a that's what.
I'm Patrick, WD9EWK. Besides working from home for almost 2 full years, I've been doing a lot of satellite work, taking advantage of working from home and being able to step out in the yard to take breaks during the day, and also doing operating away from home all over the place. Was just in Orlando a couple weekends back, giving a presentation for the ARRL part of the application. Glad to be back to an in-person meeting here.
Well, from JAP, And I run in a lot of FTA. Built my station, built myself a 6600 flex, still running the radio.
North in 980. I couldn't do it a lot. You can read before. Playing that kind of cable. Playing the computer, it's not all that, that's all I have to do.
Thomas, N7X, and I'm also a member of UK4. I've had it for 2 weeks, so I'm still trying to learn how to use it. Also, Patrick kind of sparked an interest with me on back on satellites. When I've got the M-square LEO antennas and the Yaser rotor and the Icon 9700, and the sat tracker from SR Electronics. I forget, it's like a Raspberry Pi that controls it. It's amazing, this little set tracker. You've probably seen it in the February issue of QST. It runs the Icon radio and the Yaser radio, and it's like CDXA flash. You just turn it on and it tracks the satellite. So I've been doing a lot of CW on satellites. And the other thing is 10 meters has been open, so I've been having a wall on 10-meter FM. So repeaters are coming in from back east pretty much every day now. Some good openings on 10 meters.
Craig, KD72. I guess the biggest thing I do is get married. My wife has no hobbies, so that put a big tent in getting anything done. And I've worked too much, but hopefully she'll find hobbies or someone to talk to and I can get that done.
Doug K9R7, and mainly been trying to refurbish the antennas. It's pretty much done. Got a few intermittent minor problems that I deal with, but been operating a little bit of FTA and cyber. Glad to see the bands coming back.
Oh, let me set some Zulu Tango. I'm gonna hear every day. Every day I want to hear. I'm having to do some wall. I'm still doing the other work with the buddy hole. We've got to probably see the buddy hole reflex, portable flex buddy hole. Put one up on my location today. And working the world with it is working wonderfully. The other thing that's continuing with me is that about 12 years ago, I started a group of guys going to Red Mountain Park. Lisa, we meet there every Thursday morning. This morning we had 50 guys. Put up antenna, doing portable stuff. I put up there 600 times. So radio is continuing on this every day. Recently, I have another edition that never done much mobile work, so I bought myself a little 3-wheel bike. Got a little buddy hole fast with a passing head on top of it. Put a motorized wheel in the front. I am tricycle mobile.
I'm Jim with A7NY. And I think I've probably been just about in the dormant part like with the COVID. The bands have been just about COVID oriented as I am, getting into indulgence. But recently,
Keep talking.
recently I've been trying to get to all the Hamptons. So I was actually in Orlando, same time that you were, and I was in Huntsville, Alabama, a bunch before that, and I headed to Seattle to the Mike McGee Hamfest up there, and then off to Athenian for that, and then off to Seaside, Oregon. And happy to see that the bands come back to life. The last contest, I think I worked more people on 10 than I did on 20. And so it's really starting to come back to life, just like it should. Thank you.
I'm Mickey K5NL, and last 2 years, nothing much changed in the way of ham radio. Same house, same spouse, same antenna, same rig, same amplifier. What I'm on just about every day, looking for DX. Keep schedule with friend of you, Steve Floyd, from YHT in Washington suburb. And that's about it. I've been looking at the sunspots coming back and finding more DX. I'm hoping we have some more DX conditions. It's been pretty sparse the last couple of years. And that's about all that's been happening.
You want to add anything?
What was the question?
Yes. One thing I forgot to say is, being stuck in the home of COVID, I got bored. So I joined CARL, Center for Amateur Radio Learning at the Arizona Science Center. And I've been participating there every Tuesday and Thursday. And we've been teaching kids Morse code. And it's amazing. I was just there today. And the girls are the best. They come up and they want to learn how to send their name. And they're real patient. They learn the dots and the dashes and tap their name out. The boys are kind of just scattered. They're just running around. But the girls are real focused. And I've been just having a ball there, volunteering at the Arizona Science Center. So if you have any kids or you want to bring them to the Science Center, we've got a nice station. We've got an FT3000. We've got a tri-band Yagi on the roof. We've got satellite antennas. We've got verticals. We've got FM repeater, 2-meter 440 radios. And I'm just having a ball at the Science Center. So bring your kids to the Science Center. It's a great place. Right now, they've got live animals. They got sloths and frogs and snakes and turtles. And it's a great experience. I'm having a ball trying to get the kids into the hobby. We don't have enough young kids in this hobby. And one of my goals is to see if we can bring some of these kids in the hobby. Look at us, we're old parts. We gotta get some more kids in there.
Anybody else have anything to add?
I'm Virgil, K7BZ. So I can turn the camera. There we go, up front here. I'm still working from home almost 2 years later, so I think the biggest thing that's done is I can mess around with the radio a little bit during the day. I take breaks from work, but having it on, I think I'm up to like 45 states confirmed on 6 meters. That's helped being able, because usually I'm at work during the midday openings or afternoon openings, and I've played around with RIDI over the last year, and I think I've got 44 or 45 states confirmed there. So just trying to complete work all states in a couple different modes or a couple different bands, and been having fun with it.
As for myself, I don't get on the radio very often from home with lousy antennas, but I have been trying to do some portable operations. I've done some mountaintop and VHF contests. And I worked winter field day a couple of weeks ago, or about a month ago now. That was kind of fun. It's really, really nice to get away from the city and have HF bands that don't have SN noise level. If you're here for a meeting, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what you're doing in radio for the last 2 years.
Really, I usually did 4, mostly NG7.
Okay.
Oh, do we want to try to go through the online people?
Yeah, so that's gonna.
Okay. I'm not sure how we're gonna organize them.
So if you have the audio turned on, right?
Yeah, if you guys,
So each of you, if you can hear me and you're online, unmute yourself.
or should I call on them first?
Well, it looks like Israel's up in the upper left, so Israel, why don't you start?
K7HI.
My name is Israel. Good evening, everybody. I wish I could be down there with you guys today. I'm still working every day, so I didn't got home until almost 6 o'clock, so there's no way to get up there. But I'm happy to see, you know, a bunch of people, especially I think I count almost 20 people that are attending in person. That's great. And there was at least another 14 line. That's a good number. I haven't done a lot lately, you know, because of my work, but I've been playing some contests, and I was very happy. A couple of weeks ago, we had the DX contest, and I was surprised at how good 10 meters was, as well as 15 meters. Work a few hours, and I work about 42 countries, several Europeans, Asia. So 10 meters, it was a real surprise to me. And prior to that, probably end of January, yeah, that was end of January, we had the 160 contest, CQ 160 meter contest. And I was very happy. I was able to work. Someone was mentioned gray line propagation just a few minutes ago, and that's what I was expecting. And sure enough, I saw about 4 or 5 stations coming out of the noise, Japanese station, and I was able to work 5 of them within, like, I don't know, 10 minutes, and then they were all gone. So if I tell you that I don't have a place for antenna, I just put up a mast and about 38 feet, and I put an inverted V. So all these people that came to me, and they have to come through gray line propagation straight up. But it's been a pleasure working, you know, in this contest, and I'm very happy in doing that. Again, thank you for the opportunity, and I'll talk to you guys later.
Go to Bob, NA7RH.
Sorry,
Here, yeah.
sorry, I ran off to get some more coffee, but I was listening on the Bluetooth, so here I am. Let me get my video there. What do I have to say? 2 years, mostly on FT8, and it's been interesting. Working from DX this year, mostly on 10 meters and 40 meters, and still working from home, so I don't get much time during the day to work anything but 40 meters, but on the weekends I work 10 meters, and up to about 35 entities on 10 and 35 entities on 40, and less on the other bands. So, but I'm having fun, and certainly enjoying the good propagation that's coming on with this cycle 25. So anyway, that's about all that's going on here. Working on the 3rd satellite at work, so they're keeping me too busy, I think. Beyond that, not much to say.
Okay, thank you, Mike Folger.
Good evening, everybody. Mike, KC7B. Like Virgil and Bob there, I've been working from home the past couple of years. But my work desk is I just have to turn about 90 degrees and I'm at work. And turn back 90 degrees and I can work something that might come up. Try not to during the day because I do keep busy with the job. I'm doing a lot of contesting, still chasing DX with a small station. I'm in the process, and I'm hopefully within 30 days of getting a tower up, a roam guide tower. And then I'll start the process of figuring out what to put on it. But it'll be ready for at least the 6 meter E season. So I've got to get that all figured out. But other than that, you know, I'm still running the Arizona Outlaws Contest Club and writing a little article for that, and of course for the AOCC on the website once a quarter or so. So it keeps me fairly busy and helping my wife out with projects. In fact, I got one we're working on now that I'll finish up here in a little bit. So lots happening, but still fun.
So Mike, I have a question for you. When you rotate
Yes.
at 90 degrees to work, You have plaques for work behind you?
Well, not exactly.
All right, just curious.
All right, looks like next would be Rick Spiegel.
Yeah, hi, guys. Good to see everybody. It's kind of weird to see everybody at a meeting. I wish the meeting location was a little bit closer. It'd be nice to come down there and see everybody. Maybe one night, a couple of us in the West Valley could coordinate a drive down there. I can drive down some of the older guys who can't drive at night, so that would be fun. The high bands have been doing great. I've had a lot of fun working that. I've been doing the long path on 40 for about the last month. That's been fun, and it's just fun seeing some activity out there. So hopefully things will improve and the contests will be bigger and better. And, let's hope that this COVID stuff gets behind us so we can start going to Hamfests again and our gatherings. And let's hope that things in Ukraine work out for the best. Other than that, everything's fine. Been working out 3 to 4 days a week with the wife and still retired.
Okay, Ray, N6VR.
Yes, hello. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, things are just going great. And according to everybody else here, I'm glad I'm retired. I remember the days that I had to work and miss a lot of DX. And Jim, N7US, you were showing off your cat. So I brought my Maine Coon cat in. You saw her, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Okay. She's about 18 pounds, big cat. Anyway, I've been on FT8 mainly. Just to work DX. I haven't done very little contesting lately. I don't, my attitude is I've worked everybody so many times. I'm just tired of doing it again on 160 and 10 meters and whatever. So I'm on FT8 almost exclusively, and I use W7YA. If you guys hear that call, that's me, N6VR. I'm working on an 80 meter Foursquare. I've got 3 of the antennas up. The 4th one is in position, but it's actually still my 160 antenna. I've got 2.5 acres on my house, and then I own 2.5 acres next door, and I'm expanding to that vacant field. And big thing right now is I'm trenching. I've got to put hard line down and some conduit stuff for control wires. I've got an 80 meter dipole that's not working right. It's on a sky needle up at 100 feet, but I've got to work on it. So I got a ton of projects. So other than that, things are doing okay, staying healthy and not had COVID and doing right.
Okay, thanks. Jim, N7US.
Yeah, good evening, guys. Nice to hear and see everybody. It's actually been getting warm here. I've actually washed the car to keep it clean. We were actually visited my stepson in the Outer Banks of North Carolina last week. We had a VRBO right on the ocean and basically across the street from the Wright brothers field and all that. So we went to that, which was a lot of fun. I got in the 160 CW contest for a while, just playing for a few hours. And again, I'm in a comfortable rut, which is weekly CWTs every Wednesday. It's nice to work some of you guys in them. It's very nice to work old friends in them. And I do slow speed tests too, under 20 words a minute on Friday afternoon and Sunday evenings. K1 USN slow speed tests, which actually are very satisfying. So anyway, good to see you all. Go ahead.
All right, I see another Jim. Not sure who that is. Other Jim there? Let's go to Richard, N7NT.
He's not feeling good.
How about Rick, W1HZ?
All right, let's see. Is the audio working? Because I've had this thing muted for so long. I see heads nodding. Good evening to everybody, and good to see everybody not so much in person, but at least on the screen here. Also have managed to stay healthy, our family, so we're grateful for that. And we look forward to joining you at the meetings in the near future. So I'm very much in favor of that. Pretty much do FT8 because I'm very limited on antennas. Just have dipoles in a very aggressive HOA community. So they're on the backside of the roof, and away with that for over 10 years. So I'm grateful just to be on the air. My particular interest is in 6 meters. I operated for about 30 years back on the East Coast when I was in the Boston area. And now with FT8, it's just opened some new horizons, and it's great working China and Japan with a simple dipole. And that epic opening on July 9th, I think it was. Lee, you remember that one. And I know Ned was in there too. And I think I probably called in some wrong cycles, so I'm learning along the way. Anyhow, it's good to see everybody. And again, looking forward to seeing you in person.
Okay, Steve, K7SB.
Okay, so I guess I'm unmuted. Okay, so thank goodness for ham radio, because with this COVID stuff, I've been spending an awful lot of time around the house. And of course, that's good for getting on the air and DXing. For the second straight year, you always look for a new challenge. So even though the majority of what I'm doing is FT8, the challenge is to do it at 50 watts again this year. And it's amazing what you can work with 50 watts. Just absolutely amazing. Other than that, not a lot going on here. 6 has been very disappointing. And Ned, you might have some comments as to what you think may happen come June, July, whether 6 will open. It looks like Australia and New Zealand have had a lot of paths to South America. I don't know if it's trans-equatorial or not, but it's not coming up here for the most part. One day it did open. The other interesting thing, somebody was talking about long path. I've been getting on usually starting around 7:30 in the morning local. And I've noticed a couple of Asians on 10 meters. I kind of suspect it's long path, although they're still in the dark. So unusual propagation. I have managed to work a couple of them. I think a Thailand and a few Japanese at 7:30 in the morning local on 10 meters. So that's about it from this end. And still healthy, no COVID yet.
All right, Tommy, WE7K. How about WA0KDS? Is there anybody else I skipped? I think that's the whole list. Okay, I'll go back to screen share.
And then when we're introducing ourselves, then the office introduce themselves first. Do you guys want to add anything? Does anybody else want to say anything before we go on to the agenda items? Okay. Okay, so we did our meet and greet stuff, and so let's have a short business meeting, and then we'll get the activities report from Tom, and there's cookies and soda and everything back there, and that's what we're here for. Okay, I don't know, Mike, if you want to speak to this one or not, go ahead and step to the next one. The next two are for Mike.
Okay.
You haven't renewed the CN.
Yeah.
If you have, ignore this.
We've got 119 members. That includes the honorary members as well. Had some fallout this year from COVID, which isn't too surprising. These are people who just, they didn't go away. They just didn't want to renew for them. So
hopefully some of those will come back. At this point, if you're gonna join, you'll have to fill out another application, because I need to know your current email address and all that. Purge the old ones at this point. And the rates are the same, $25 a year and $12.50 for other people at the same address, $12 for a badge. And right now we have about $10,800 in the kitty at this point, and that's a little more like about 10,000 this year.
My laptop's very not happy.
Yeah.
There we go.
There we go. And we just renewed our insurance policy, which we had to have to come here. So, we renewed the ARCA membership as well. And coming up next month, I think we've got a Zoom license renewal and a couple of expenses, plus the rental fee. Hopefully, I'll be paying a rental fee every month for a physical place.
Yeah, there's some stuff that didn't format right.
Yeah, it fits the spaces. We covered most of it verbally, so that's okay.
Come on, I'm talking about.
You can or no? Okay.
Okay.
Okay, generally, most years we donate $1,000 to the ARRL to give out as a scholarship. So we talked about it at the last board meeting, and we voted to bring it before the membership because anything more than $300 has to be approved by the membership. And then one of the guys, I don't know, it was probably you, went and checked with ARRL. They've not yet issued last year's scholarship, so we're not going to ask you to approve this year's until probably late in the year. So that's the status of the scholarship, and hopefully in this spring they'll award it to some young college-bound ham, maybe who learned Morse code at the Science Center. Okay.
Next one.
So unless there's some discussion from the floor, we're gonna table this issue. Okay, next one, Northern California DX Foundation donation. What has been our tradition for as long as I've been a member is when the various people planning a DX expedition contact CADXA and says, "Can you support us?" Our response is we donate annually to NCDXF. And that way, we don't have to assign 3 of you to be on the committee to decide which the expedition is worth supporting, which one isn't. And there's so many of them, we'd only be able to give $7 to each one anyway a good year. So continuing our tradition, we voted in the board meeting last week to bring it before you all to approve another $1,000 donation for this year to NCDXF to allow them to vet the various potential expeditions and donate as they see fit. And you two are both on the board of NCDXF, right? So we've got representation there. Is there any discussion from the floor? So we're bringing that as a vote.
I asked the treasurer for the foundation, what are the top clubs that have donated to the foundation? And number 1 is the Northern Cal DX Club, but we're number 2. CADXA has been a strong supporter of Northern Cal DX Foundation for years and years. It's really a good relationship, and the practice works. Where you don't have to, you can donate one place. Now that doesn't cover all the mom expeditions, just the big ones. And it's certainly anybody in the club can donate to anything they want. And it's generally the practice for dealing with all of the expeditions. It's kind of basis. But the club donating to the foundation, I think, is an important boost that we get that really helps. I mean, the foundation, I have to admit, is self-funded right now. I mean, we can support a number of very large expeditions, but as you all know, those costs are just going crazy. The last herd operation was close to $1 million. And it may be it's gotten too big, and that you're going to see the expedition like the next 2A, one where it's a smaller team, it's a different boat, and that might keep the cost down. But it's just to keep activity in all of the needed countries, we're going to need a lot of contributing really does to keep us in position to make sure these expeditions are well funded, well managed, and make everything happen.
It's that my observation over not quite as many years as that I have. But, it's a very efficient way for me to get money. First of all, they do support the big ones. And frankly, the big ones are what everybody needs. You know, you all know I work in Marathon. I work maybe 150 to 180 DXCCs every year. Now, it's most of the common ones, obviously. But I worked 314 entities since I came to Arizona in 2013. And, you know, the big ones were all funded by NCDXF. Every single one of them made a deal. But I don't know of any big time education that's made a cut without coming to NCDXF. They need that money, and we need them to vet them because in every grade 80 that wants to come forward and, go on this speedboat the whole day. Joe laughed, it was actually, more or less possible to do that a couple of years ago. So I mean, it's really a good deal for us, and we won't get the big stuff done without something like NCDXF. That's right, costs are crazy. Heard was $1 million with $50 barrel oil, and now it's nearly 100, and that's a big cost for those 7 islands. I don't know how we're going to do those things. But this is our own shop.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, so the motion presented to membership is, do you support the club donating $1,000 to NCDXF? Sorry.
Yeah, that's price inflation of $1,000 even.
Well, we just signed up to spend about $1,500 a year getting a roof. It's $100 and change a night, plus sodas and stuff. So we've got 10,000 in the bank, so we can afford it.
Yeah, I mean, very good to be wise with our money. And much of our working capital comes from proceeds from running capital. And we haven't had any income for that for a while, and we won't have any until next year. So we have to sort of watch the next 18 months. I think. Keep that.
We have given more money in years where our relationship with Visalia has given us more money. Visalia has took a big swing. It's hard to underestimate how big it is for our finances, for things like this, for the scholarship, for the NCDXF. We've given more money when we've had. And that's right, in the short term, we could give a little more. That's the wisdom of the clubs. But it's not something we can sustain without the Visalia money. And we can't count on that until next year. And we're working on it.
Just so you know, the last inclusion said it was 4,000.
That's like 2 years.
That was here.
And you would, refresh me if I'm wrong, but you had said the last 3 years we've given about 1,000, and then it was maybe 500 the year, 4 years ago.
$1,000 the last 3 years and 500 the year before.
Yeah, so that's kind of been the norm as well.
Yeah. But nonetheless, we could, if you guys really want. If we could have. It's kind of.
I have to agree with that. Which really cover our payments and bills. And as other people point out, if further on down this year, it becomes necessary, foundation may need another infusion, another donation to help finance another expedition, then we can consider that.
Any other discussion? Okay, so the motion on the floor is $1,000. Nobody changed that, so all those in favor?
Right.
Anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passes.
Oh, somebody raised their hand. Israel, go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's just raise my hand. I approve that.
Oh.
Okay, yeah, that's gonna be kind of hard to juggle the online guys, especially when we're displaying that and they kind of disappear in the background. Okay, next slide. Visalia committee, since we're talking about Visalia. You want to-
Just confirming, you guys can see the slides on Zoom, right? All right.
Yes, we can.
Okay, Visalia. How many new members here? I mean, we've been involved with Visalia for 20 years, at least, and being involved in the execution of the convention. And we started out by holding chairs, and simple things. And we now have a very good relationship, long-standing relationship with the Northern Cal DX Club. And this year, we have essentially become co-chairs. So I will be a co-chair of the convention this next year, along with two other gentlemen from the club. Their names are Tony and Clay. They are replacing I guess we call them the three amigos, which were Kevin, K6TD, John, K6MM, and KI5, KI1B, who have run that program for, I don't know, 6-7 times, and they're getting tired, and they're trying to get some new leadership in the club. And that's something that we're seeing in lots of clubs, is that a lot of the leaders of clubs are getting old and tired, and not many younger members of clubs are stepping up to take. Thank God for guys like A4Q here who have stepped up to be president. It's very important to keep the energy flowing in a club, and sometimes it's best for someone who has all of their bodily strength as well as mental faculties with them, because it's becoming a problem in a lot of clubs. I mean, just be out of San Diego DX just about COVID this past year, just stuff like that. It's very, very important. I think clubs are very important. They're a hobby, and I think that stepping up to take a leadership role in a club is an important part of maintaining these forums. Anyway, back to the convention. As you probably heard, this year's convention fell apart, and it's primarily because of the lack of people signing up to go. They just were not getting any registrations. It's just still the pandemic has just made it very, very hard to plan anything. I don't think Visalia is really opened up even today for a convention, but it's pretty clear that I think the pandemic is behind us, and next year is looking good. I mean, Dayton's going to go, Orlando went. Everything seems to be post-pandemic-ish, and that's a good sign for us going forward. So for next year's convention, we have already, I've got a couple of cohorts who are going to help me. Larry's going to once again revive the capabilities of doing seating. I think we're doing it without a server this year. You're going to try and do that, or you're going to have a server?
I don't know, we'll have to talk about that. I can do it all from the spreadsheet. The question, how much visibility people want to hear.
So we've got a couple of technology. There were some really cool ideas that were used, but I think the Southern Cal group purchased some software that had some really cool features. We may look at that and see whether it's something that that we can dial up. I mean, having information scrolling on the screen all day long for people walking by, take a look at stuff. That's an interesting idea. We'll look at that. Mike, KC7B, has agreed to be the program chair. I will certainly help him with that. That's a very, very important part of these conventions. It's kind of like one of the three main legs of the three-legged stool here. And programs are a real attraction for people coming to the convention. So that's something, and it will be the first one, I think, of any size. I mean, we've got the Pacific Northwest Convention, the X Convention, coming up here in August, but Visalia is the big draw. And the challenge will be trying to get, we like to get international speakers, and so we're Zoom is our friend. We may be doing a lot of that this year. We'll have to figure all that out, but that's to come. The other task that we are going to do is Debbie and Inta, Debbie Finkel and Lowen and others will be doing small prizes during the day. It's kind of a job that no real ham wants to do.
That's how you say that.
But I know.
That was me.
That's right. That's right. That was a tremendous help. That's right. And my wife enjoyed the hell out of that. It was just chatting all day long, wondering, what is so hard about managing, where 100 things go. They had it down, and they took shopping excursions, and legendary shopping excursions down in downtown Visalia. It was a lot of fun for everybody, and we look forward to trying to pull that off again next year. So it's a little early. I mean, we're just getting started for planning, but there's lots to do, and got all rookie team to run it. So it'll be interesting to find out where the holes are for next year pretty soon. We'll figure it out. So stay tuned. I may tap you on the show. I know you volunteered to help. If we expand into some more areas, I may bring in some more people to have assignments on this thing. So watch out. Don't hang up the phone.
Question for you. Obviously, Southern California has given up on this next go round, and it's Northern California's turn. Is that correct? If that's the case, where do they tend to have it? Are you going to have it in town at the convention center?
We feel, okay. Yes, the Southern Cal team adopted to go back to the Hull Dome, or whatever it's called. And we think it's for two reasons. One, it's cheaper, and two, for the Southern Cal group, they kind of, it's a sort of one-stop shop. You contact that hotel, and they take care of catering, and pipe and grill, all set up to the vendor booths, and they take out all the things. And so it was easy for them to manage it right what they kept. But for those of us who are going to go there for a lot of years, that's a really crappy hotel, and it's tight. You get a break between the meetings, and you can't work your way through the crowd. You got a guy in a wheelchair thing, trying to plow trails and all that stuff. And it's just not a pleasant experience. You go to the Visalia Convention Center, and just kind of wave your arms around, and I like to wave my hand when I talk, so I'm really much less constrained by the convention center. So that's where we're going. I think
it's a better venue.
It's a better venue. It costs a little more, but the Northern Cal's opinion is it's not about making money. It's about having fun. And if we do it right, we make money. We make enough money to make sure it's fun.
Yeah, I should point out that, now I do a lot of long time, that convention goers strongly prefer downtown. My wife was on it twice and has never been to the other thing except to be there as a guest, will not go.
I was at that hotel last summer. It was terrible.
Yeah.
I was just headed up to Seattle to stop there. The water, there was no hot water and very little water at that.
What does your spouse do? She has to jump in a car, drive downtown, or go somewhere, go to Vegas or something. It's just nothing for your family or spouse to do there. So having it in town is just makes it a lot
of restaurants, just nice to walk around the downtown area. It's very, very nice.
And my wife noticed that there are more bridal shops per square foot in any other city I've ever seen. I don't know why, but that's the thing. Got it there in space. It's a different.
It was very front and center of her mind.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for that update. Next page. Oh, by the way, you talked about young people taking up leadership in the clubs. I'm 61. Okay. W07R would like to talk about the DX totals. Did you send a separate presentation?
Yeah, I have a separate presentation. Okay, I put together the current report
because people send it in, the other guy's got to take it over, decide he couldn't do it. And I want to describe the job. This is a job we need somebody to do. It's not a big job, it's a little time consuming, not horrible.
It's loading. My laptop's hating life.
And I want to just briefly show what it takes, because I want somebody to take it that feels comfortable doing it. This has been in the club since practically the inception. It basically lives on a spreadsheet. So if you're good with Excel mechanics and a little bit of Word mechanics, that's really like 90% of it. The rest is just managing emails that come in. So let me go through it in a little bit of detail to show you how it's evolved to the way I did it. And we'll run through this fairly fast. Some of the slides I'm not going to spend a lot of time on, but I wanted to give people a feel for the mechanics. Next slide. No? Next slide, please. Okay, so basically, as I just said, so we can just go on here. Next slide. Okay, so the report lives in a spreadsheet. Okay, and this is kind of wordy, so I'll just cover it. There are, you know how an Excel spreadsheet can have these little sheets at the bottom, you got this little tab in the bottom, and they call sheets. There's basically two of them. I've actually got 3 or 4. There's only 2 of them that matter. Only 2 of them I'm really going to talk much about. The first one has the membership, individual membership total. So you'll see examples in a minute. A7A comes up a lot because he's the lowest alphabetically in the list. And, you know, and it has all his numbers, the ones that he submitted. And there are people like that only submit their mixed totals, and that's fine too. Whatever it's your report, so it's whatever you submitted over the years is what's in there. And what happens is I collect the data, we send the data out in a particular format, either a text file or an Excel spreadsheet that most of you are familiar with. You fill that thing in, you send it back to whoever runs this report, and basically they merge it into the master spreadsheet. I'll show in a little bit of detail how that's done. It's not hard, but there's a little bit of a trick to it. And then after you're done with that, you make a copy of it into a second sheet. You swap a couple of columns, you sort it. And when you're done with the sort, it's in the order that's required for the report. And then it's just a long, dull slog of merging it into a Microsoft Word document. You know, cut and paste, cut and paste, cut and paste, cut and paste. And sticking some obvious headings like 160 meters on top. So let me go through that in a little more detail. Next chart. Okay, so again, you just copy the last report into a new folder, you rename the files. Next report. Okay, and then again, you get the individual data. Now, this is the part most of you are familiar with because we send these things out for you to fill out, right? You either choose the text file or the Excel file. But I'll show you why they're in the format they are in a moment here. Just click on it again, next chart. So this is how it comes in. And I picked Lee's version just because it's handy. And you can see this is the spreadsheet most of you have seen. Some of you use the text file, but if you use the spreadsheet, this is very familiar. And you can see all the headings. Next, please. Now, what I do then is I created a little template that's in the master file, and I copy it into here. You can see I've just got these numbers, and there's gaps because there's gaps in what comes in. Okay, and that becomes important in the site. And I just stick the word active in there because if you're an active member and you're going to be in the report, that's one of the required fields. So I stick active in what here is column E, and then column F has the numbers. Next slide. Okay, and then I insert a column at the very left, and I just simply replicate the call sign of the guy that sent me his stuff, and I resort it so that all the blank lines go away. This is ready to be merged into the master file. This should be active on the bottom there. Next slide, please. And here you can see sort of a prototype of doing that. This on the left and beneath is the master spreadsheet. And you can see here where, you know, we're at least up, and the little blue bracket there kind of shows where this stuff's got to go. Now, this is the only part that requires any skill. Okay, when you really get right down to it, you have to be a little careful about this because once in a while people turn in numbers that they didn't before. You know, they suddenly get active on 12 meters and they never bother to send in their 12-meter numbers. So you have to watch out for that kind of thing. And
and make adjustments. For the most part, everybody turns in the same numbers every time. So this step is actually fairly easy. And you can see on the right, columns I, J, and K. That's a little bit of spreadsheet magic that you don't have to worry about. But basically, if you do a copy and paste operation, not a cut and paste, a copy and paste operation, it'll drop right in there. And if all three of those columns still read true, you did the job right. Okay, because they're little sanity checks. And they make sure that everything was done right, so you didn't have an extra column or 1, 2, 3 or something, or you goofed and copied it over half a K R2Es or something like that. It checks for all that stuff. Next slide, please. Okay, and then this little side effect. Once in a while, a member will only give a few numbers. They won't give all the numbers. Frankly, I strongly prefer it if people submit all the numbers, but not everybody does. So now you just have to do this manually. And you have to merge the numbers into the master file manually when that happens. But most of the people do that only turn in a handful of numbers anyway. You know, like mixed DXCC, maybe all original. Next slide. Okay, this is just, you can skip. This is just other stuff. And again, we talked about the checks already, so skip this chart. And then, you know, if you really take this job, you'll be interested in these charts. And then they really go through all the minutia to try to make it really easy for somebody, you know, to just kind of paint by the numbers their way through this. And now you're into the sorting trick. So now you take the data in the master slide, the first sheet, you copy the whole thing into the second sheet. You overlay the second sheet, wipe out what was there before entirely, make sure nothing's left over if the report somehow got smaller. And now you're ready. Let's go to the next one. Okay, so here's the way it looks at the beginning when you're in this extra sheet. And now the next slide. And now you swap columns A and B. And I described exactly how to do that for people that aren't really adept at this sort of Excel thing, but it's not hard. You just basically, anyway, I talk about it. It's not hard to do. Once you figure it out, once you figured it out forever. Now this is next slide. And there's the main trick for how to do the swap. Keep going. So now you do a sort. Okay, so now you've got the columns. You've copied the data successfully to the master sheet that's got the individual records. You've swapped the first two columns, and now you do this sort. And I won't bother you with the details, but basically there's a correct order for sorting these things. Basically confirm, it's current, confirmed, worked, and then your call sign, essentially. Next. And this is what it looks like when you're done. What a big surprise. Next is on the top. And notice that column E is second. So everybody that's got 340 ends up on the top. Because that's based on current. That's what we sort first. And then we sort, we've done this forever. So then you sort by confirmed and then by work. We've done that forever. That's the way this report has always looked. And now you're basically ready to go. Once you complete this sort, now what you have is a long bell slog to get it into the Word format, save it to a PDF, send it to the board for their blessing and sanity check, and you're done for another quarter. Okay, I don't know if now here's what it looks like. So here's the things you need to do in the Word document. The first couple of paragraphs at the top essentially never change. Essentially boilerplate. You've got to remember to go change the date on the header in the upper right-hand corner. I forgot to do that. And then see those little blue headers? You just got to make sure they show up ahead of the appropriate break. So mixed obviously is on top of mixed, phone is on top of phone. And then for the guys that are on the honor roll for the mixed phone, CW and data, you got to remember to go in and put all that in the whole time. That's an operation I think anybody that's studied the board knows how to do. That's mostly it. And then at the bottom, there's all that stuff for 5-band work all zones, 5-band DXCC. That can be updated by hand. It almost never changes. If it does, it's like 1 or 2 people. I mean, not too many people finish those things in a given quarter. Okay, we're good, but we're not that good. Okay, next. And then there's a couple of manual things you have to do that are pretty straightforward. And if you actually take the job, I'll describe it to you if you don't get it from this. So that's the job. That's really all there is to it.
And most of the work is frankly collecting emails, sending out the notices, making sure that everybody gets a shot to send the numbers in. And then when you set a deadline, okay, March 27th is the last date for this quarter, whatever you decide. Then you just do the merge. If you get anything after that, it's okay. Just, wait till it's done, start the next report, copying the numbers that are late. It's not that big a deal. These are lifetime numbers, okay? So you don't have to keep rejiggering this thing. You don't have to issue 5 versions of the report while people sort of stop in things. There's no under the wire here to worry about. You just do it. And you set a date, you publish, and any numbers you get, people can send them at any time. People have. I get reports halfway through the quarter sometimes. Whatever people decide to do, it's okay. You can cope with all of it. Just set a few deadlines, publicize them widely, cut it off, make the next report and go on. That's the job. So anyone who feels they can do that, we really need that done. We need somebody to step up and take that job and do a little work for the club, basically 4 times a year. Anyway, let the board know if you're interested. We'll be very happy to talk to you about it. Okay, thanks a lot. I didn't memorize the agenda all the time, so let's see. There we go, okay. I don't know if we have anything new from the review committee, since Bob's out of town. I did perform a test. I can't see it from here with this. K7 UGA committee probably doesn't have much to. I can do a quick recap. Okay. Just to bring everybody kind of up to speed on the K7 UGA special event, planning for that actually started the first or second week of last August. And it morphed into my K7B, Bob, K7BH, and I were the K7 UGA committee, standing committee. And from Monday, October the 4th, which was the first day of the special event section of it, through that Friday, October the 8th. And then we finished up with the Arizona QSO party on Saturday, October the 9th. So we're going to try that. And out of those 6 days, the special event portion, we had 14 CADXA members during the week, and they made 3,698 contacts. For the Arizona QSO party, there were 4 of us, myself, Bob, K7BHM, Richard at 7NT, and one of our newest members, Davis, EG7PP from Wickenburg. We went out, we did a special event, non-competitive Arizona QSO party expedition entry. And we went up to our cabin, northeast of Payson. We made 444 contacts. The total QSOs for the week plus Arizona QP was 4,142, which is a fairly substantial number. And that was a combination of CW, sideband, and FT8. Let's see, QRZ.com statistics on August the 6th when we started planning, we had 79,655 previous lookouts, which is a fair number. And the history on QRZ and LTW goes back, I don't know how long. Somebody had done something, I think Mike was 7 weeks in time, because there were 23,000 contacts in LTW when I reactivated it 10th or 11th of October. As of March the 1st, there are 96,605 lookups, which means as a result of the special event thing, we picked up just under 17,000, which is fairly substantial. When we reactivated LOTW back in October, there were about 5,000 confirmations in LOTW. There are currently a little over 7,300, so we picked up 2,300. Actual QSL card received today, about 400-ish. I possess them. Bob's going to get them back ultimately. A couple of things that's been asked about from the stations we contacted as CADXA members is what we set up for special certificates. When we set up a special certificate for stations who contacted us in the Arizona QSO park,
we discussed but decided at that time to not do a general certificate for folks to contact us. That can be revisited down the road. But the concept there was actual QSL was required to kind of part of a special certificate. We've also discussed what we want to do next month. That's going to be several years down the road because it's done every 3 to 5 years, give or take. One of the things that we want to do, and I've talked to Virgil about it because he's the computer guru and I'm not. We want to set up some sort of an interactive operating schedule that's on the CADXA website that members can log into, and it'll be a real-time concept, so that if Ned signs up to operate, pick a band, pick a day, pick a time, and he gets called away for something, he can go in and delete that, and then if Bill wants to go in and operate something and he sees that that's available, then he can fill that slot with anything he wants. So we want to do some sort of an interactive, fluid scheduling process of some sort. Don't know how that's going to work yet, but we want to do it. One of the things that I kind of came up with is there haven't been any K7UGA type contacts for a long time. And I think it would be kind of neat to throw that out there because K7UGA is kind of a special call sign to work. And the teletype folks should have just as much access as CW side of FTA. We're not going to go ad nauseum on that. We're not going to throw in satellites and stuff like that right off the bat. One thing I want to do is we're going to have, or try to have, special event certificates for everybody that works us. Now that'll require some sort of a log database. Don't know how that's going to work out yet. But if Larry works K7UGA and he wants a special event certificate, then he can go in, kind of like the USO party, punch in his time, his call sign. The special event log will get searched, and presuming it's there, he can print one certificate. So we want to do that. One of the things that I want to do, since I have to deal with all the logging, and we've got multiple kinds of logging submissions, I want to put up some guidelines for uniform logging, not requirements, but suggestions. Like ideally, N1, N would be used by everybody. If that's not the case, then the N3 FAP program was used by a couple of folks, which requires a couple of steps to merge it into N1, N. Because with one of the logging programs, when they submitted ADI files, they wouldn't upload the LOTW variety. And then last but not least, I'm going to do some photographs of the operator of the station, both the home stations and every pilot and the pilot contest thing. Then include that also. So that's kind of a summary of it. If you go to QRZ.com and punch in K7UGA, from the get-go, I updated frequently the listing in there for K7UGA. It's got the final listing in there now. It's kind of a synopsis of the whole. And I was questions, comments, criticism, I'm good for all of those. Okay, thank you. Cool. Yeah, one other thing that we did this year with Arizona QSO Party is Simple Arizona DX Association, since we were a special event station in Arizona QSO Party, we sponsored the Arizona QP DX plaque. And that was won by Oscar Mike Victor, I think. And so at some point in the future, I'm going to be asking the question of the board, members, do we want to sponsor that again for the DX plaque for Arizona QP 2022? And we'll figure that out.
Okay. Oh, good, we got to this point. Any other club business from the floor? Okay.
Do we need cookies now?
Well, yeah, maybe you need cookies and you can give the activity report later, or you want to give the activity report first?
Yeah, I have a spreadsheet.
Okay, so is the microphone open so you guys?
Yeah, they should be able to hear.
Okay, if any of you have any other club business thing you want to bring up from the Zoom meeting, speak now. Otherwise, I'm going to turn it over to Tom for the activities report. Nothing heard. Okay, Tom.
Well, first of all, I want to apologize because basically all I hear is mumbling. Normally this here works pretty good, but for some reason today it's jammed up and I can barely hear anybody. So I apologize for that. It happens every once in a while. Anyway, before I start with the spreadsheets, I have a request. I don't know how many of you use this WinKeyer USB for N1MM. All of a sudden, a couple months ago, after it had been working perfectly, it just quit. And when I plug it in, my computer assigns a COM port. But then when I do a WinKeyer scan, it shows the COM port, but it says it's not WinKeyer. I don't know what's wrong. I don't know if it's a chip in there that's bad or what. If anybody wants to take it and see if they can get it to work, I would be grateful for that. Otherwise, I think I need to pack it up to K1EL and see if he can figure out what's wrong. Like I say, it just worked perfectly on one contest and then nothing. Anyway, going to the spreadsheets, I guess hopefully everybody can read that, so I don't need to go down all of the columns. But with the DX column, you can see that Rich, W0RIC, and Larry have been very active. And of course, with the low power division, Steve has just freshened the bands again, like he has the last couple of years. So anyway, that's the totals that we have so far. I know a lot of you are, well, some of you are busy, and some of you just don't get into this kind of thing, which is fine. But anyway, I think there's, you can see there's been a lot of activity within the group. If you want to try the double, triple play, this is one of those wild hair things I came up with. The idea is I have 15 countries that I selected. The idea is to work them once on CW, once on phone, once on digital. And as you can see, Jim has really done quite a bit of that. And so has the other Jim. Believe it or not, I totally forgot to update my totals, but they're not going to be anything too big anyway. But the idea is just to, I guess, get people to try different things, different modes. And if you want, people who want to do a double play, nobody's opted to do that yet. But, of course, it's based on the ARRL triple play that they did several years ago for working all states. We go to the marathon. Again, Larry has his lead. Yes, he and Rick rarely sleep, so they're tearing up the bands as well. And it's great to see, again, a lot of activity. Let's do the DXpeditions. Again, that a lot of people aren't into that, but a few people like to work them on as many bands as they can. And again, Rick seems to find that a challenge that he really likes. So he really hits the DXpeditions. And Wes from Tucson has kind of gotten into the boat. And he keeps trying to get the Tucson guys to kind of play into this and hasn't had a lot of luck locally. Okay, 6 meter challenge. Band hasn't opened much. So not a lot of numbers, but should be about another month. Things should start to pick up, maybe 2 months. Digital roundup. This is another one that I sort of pulled out of nowhere. And again, it's I think it's going to be an activity of one person, maybe. But again, the idea is to try to encourage people to try some different things. Again, N6DXF has kind of gotten into this. He and I both worked, he worked gritty contests and I worked gritty contests. But then I tried a couple other things. This JS8 call is kind of an interesting program. It's based on FT8, but it's it can be a right shoe mode, although it's slower than slow. The fast mode is, I think, I don't know, something like 20 words a minute. A normal mode is more like 10. But you can sit and have conversations with a guy using a protocol like FT8. And one of the really neat features is the guy that designed this, he has a feature called heartbeat. You know, you think of a dead man, you click on this little heartbeat and your transmitter transmits sort of a request for repeats. And it's kind of like the reverse beacon network. And then you'll see other stations will send back and tell you what your signal report is at their station. And some of them will ask you to send them a report of how you're receiving them. But other than that, it's not something that, I mean, it's lower than PSK, put it that way. But it's kind of an interesting mode. Hellschreiber, I don't know if you've ever tried that. It's was, I think, developed in the 1930s. It's kind of similar to the old facsimile that had the drums. And so it sends us a series of texts on a line. And again, it's one of those esoteric things that a lot of people don't use. There is a net on Thursday nights, I guess. I haven't checked in. And then, of course, I got on PSP to try that out. The next thing I'm going to start seeing if I can get some something like Olivia or Catestia or some of those really weird things. And you wouldn't believe if you look in DX Lab, and if you click on the modes that you can select, I mean, there's a whole ton of things all related to PSK.
Log of the world accepts over 100 different.
I'm sorry.
Log of the world accepts over 100 different digital modes.
So again, there's lots of different modes out there. Some of them may be on the handful of people that are used. But, if you get bored sometime, you know, maybe get on, let's see, 14068, I believe, is the Hellschreiber frequency. And unless they run some contests, so unless there's a contest, you probably won't hear much activity, but you could get on there and call CPU.
Let's see, alphabet soup. Another weird one I came up with. And Rick has already gotten through the alphabet. I left out Q because Cutter has quite a number of hands, but maybe there's this many that are active, I don't know. So I thought, but then I discovered the O is either Oman or Ogasawara. Those are the only two O's. But Larry got Ogasawara, so he got through. But anyway, again, it's just, I don't know, some wild thing, something to be different. And do with the activities as you will. Okay, I guess that's it, Virgil.
Okay. Anything else or any questions for Tom from the floor or from the Zoom meeting? Nothing heard. Okay, anything else you guys want to talk about, or are you ready to adjourn the meeting and eat cookies? Okay. I'm hearing a strong desire for cookies. We'll leave the Zoom meeting turned on so you guys can watch us eat cookies and yes. And I'll see you all right here next month. Ready for 50 working.